This time on Watchers of Tomorrow, Dr. Quace and Medicine Woman.
Hello, welcome to Watchers of Tomorrow, the sci-fi review and critique show where everyone you know and love is slowly disappearing and you're the only one who can remember.
This feels like every Thursday.
Which is a bit on the nose, but it's still scary. My name is Gepwin, and I'm joined, as always, by my friend and co-host, Dr. Isix.
Hi.
And this week we have probably one of the more horror-centric plots of this show. Mm-hmm. Which I think our recording schedule is bad because this is probably going to come out somewhere around Christmas.
Yes. So instead of being right in time for Halloween, it's the nightmare before Christmas time.
Yeah. So as you think about spending time with your family over the holidays, remember that they could all disappear and no one would ever know.
Yes. In fact, everyone would gaslight you about their disappearance until they too vanish.
Yeah. So this episode is Remember Me, which is one of the main Dr. Crusher themed episodes of this season. Even though she's been back for a bit, they don't let her doom a lot.
Yeah, it's the whole problem with the Doctor character on any kind of sci-fi show. It's like, yeah, unless there's a medical emergency, why do you matter at all?
Yeah, they wanted to do the old Bones thing with this one, but they never really made them good enough confidants for it.
It's pretty clear that, they have a long history, but, Crusher just doesn't have a good enough reason to just kind of hang out with Picard on the bridge and offer him advice, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I see, because they made everyone more competent in this show, and it really did make Kirk look pretty incompetent to be like, I have a command decision to make. I know, I'll ask the Doctor. Yes. Because the Doctor should probably be in charge, if we think about it, because he's the one who I ask about every command decision.
It's like, I have a moral problem, a technical problem, and a medical problem. The first two I'll talk to the Doctor about. We'll just wait for the other one to go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this episode was written by one Lee Sheldon, who is best known for being a mystery writer and added mystery and action elements into season 4, including this episode, which is very sort of mystery focused.
There is a problem. There's something wrong with our very world. So let's see how things roll.
Also known for writing on shows like Charlie's Angels, The Edge of Night, and Snoops.
Snoops? Are you snooping around?
Yeah, snooping it. Just snooping it all up.
Was also a writer for Quincy, remember?
Oh, yeah.
The other time there. Also, he wrote an episode for Today's FBI.
Distinct from the FBI.
To Today's.
This is like those fucking 911 shows that you have now. 911 Atlanta and 911 Sacramento and 911 Philadelphia or whatever it is. I don't watch these shows. I just see people make fun of them. So I probably named one that was real and two that aren't.
911 West Fargo, specifically.
Maybe. Apparently 911, what was it? 911 Memphis, I think, is like famously terrible. I just saw a thing about it. I think the first episode, they're like trying to rescue a bunch of people while they outrun a tornado.
Let's just combine our disasters haphazardly and hope it works.
Yeah. Yeah. But they don't seem to have the budget for tornado stuff, so they're rescuing people, and then every now and then they look up, it's like, hey, look, a tornado. Oh, no.
Quick, put some stock footage up. Gotta convince people it's real.
So we also have 2 guest stars on this one, because you don't need very many guest stars when the entire episode is about everyone on the ship disappearing.
Indeed.
It's actually a very economical way to write an episode.
Yeah. It's like, do we want to pay for someone for a whole episode or just part of one? How about we don't pay anyone, actually? Pay with the regulars.
So Bill Irwin is playing Dr. Dalen Quace, who is the other doctor.
Yep.
I don't know. I forgot that I'm supposed to talk about the actor for a second. Then I was like, wait, the sentence I'm starting on isn't going to end well.
Yeah, the character he's playing is like Crusher's like mentor from years back, and we see him for like a little bit.
It's not very relevant actually. Erwin is a monumentally well-known actor for his character work. He has more than 200 credits and Academy Award nominations for guest starring in Seinfeld. Or not Academy, Emmy. That's the one for TV.
Emmy, yeah.
He was also in a ton of shows between the 50s and the 90s. He was in I Love Lucy, Twilight Zone, Wild Wild West, Golden Girls. Many movies.
The Fugitive, Counterpoint, The Virginians, and other things you've probably not heard of.
Heard of The Virginians. It just doesn't sound very good.
Coronado 9.
Yeah, that one I haven't heard of.
Stagecoast West. Rescue 8.
Why do so many of these have numbers? What happened to Rescues 1 through 7?
21 Bacon Street. Or Beacon Street, sorry.
Okay, that's better. Bacon Street. 5 Degrees to Bacon Street.
Colt 45. Code 3.
Our other guest star is
Studio 57.
Eric Meinuk, I'm going to mispronounce that again, is back as the Traveler. Because you all remember how much we love and adore The Traveler and the plot line of The Travelers, and how much we need to continue this through all of Star Trek for some godforsaken reason.
It's part of the lore now, I guess, because Gene Roddenberry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then they just kept doing it. Like, I understand in the new ones that it's the only way to get Will Wheaton in here, and Will Wheaton is still a very relevant personality. But it seems like the only reason they're still referencing back to this is because they want Will Wheaton in here, because Will Wheaton has a very large social media presence.
It's like, I'm going to be an episode over here for like 30 seconds. Hooray!
I mean, like, I like him. I love him as an actor. I love him as a person. He's a very fun person to follow online. He's not even trying to fucking act in these things anymore.
Yeah. It's like, well, I'm here being Will Wheaton. Let's go.
Anyway, Minuk had a comparatively short acting career with many one-off or small recurring roles. He was on Matlock for a little while, a doctor in Ghost Dad, which you should not remember, but I like saying Ghost Dad.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, but you shouldn't. Don't remember that. Stop it.
I did appreciate the taxi driver, though. Like, do you believe in Satan? I am Satan.
He later retired and became an attorney. Still does acting comparatively, like whenever Star Trek wants to remind you that the Traveler exists.
Yeah, like an episode of Star Trek Prodigy.
Yeah.
I've not seen season 2.
Because we just frickin' love this for some reason. I'm sorry. This even when I was a kid, I thought this was the stupidest arc. And they returned this. The only thing they returned to more than this is Q.
But this is a mystery entity person with magical powers in a sci-fi show. So it's out there, and people like things that don't fit at all, really. And also, you just gotta believe in the warp field, man.
Yeah, I know. They still just have fucking hippie space magic.
Yep.
People need to stop having the fucking Star Wars versus Star Trek argument, because this guy's just a Jedi.
Yes. Well, Star Wars was, a long time ago, and Star Trek's the future, so obviously they can be in the same continuity. It's fine, everyone. The fight between the franchises is over. They're actually in the same universe. The Traveler's just a Jedi.
Yeah. A long time ago from what?
Yeah, Star Trek times.
You presume that when it says a long time ago, you're supposed to be like referencing right now where you are, but you technically don't know. They're not giving you the other end of the spectrum here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a long time ago versus Star Trek Discovery's 5th season. So,
Now we're in so much stuff, like fucking Strange New Worlds is like a long time ago from parts of Discovery, and Next Gen is a long time ago from later seasons of Discovery, and I don't know. Everything's a long time ago from something.
Indeed. So, we don't have a good measuring stick here.
Mm-hmm.
That's why physicists... yeah, so before we invent the universe, physicists want to invent measuring sticks so we can measure it.
Yeah. It's the one thing that I learned, and the main difference between math and between just straight up math, which I was doing in school, and physics, which I was bad at in school, is you have to put little letters next to all of the numbers. Otherwise, people get mad at you because they don't mean anything. And in math, they don't care that they mean anything.
Yeah. I do get on my students about making sure to label their answers because, 500 what? Strawberries? Miles to Vegas? I don't know. Tell me.
That's why every time I play a game and it gives you a thing, it's like, okay, this is 500 arbitrary game units away.
Though I do enjoy the occasional YouTube video where someone's like, let's figure out the actual size of this MOO planet here.
Yeah, but actual size is compared to what? Because you're making an assumption that something is a measurable size that you recognize.
Indeed. So
you don't know. Maybe everybody in World of Warcraft is the size of a Pikmin.
Yeah. Which might explain some of the feats of strength and the like. So, square cube rule. Anyway.
So anyway, we have things that happen in this episode. So Dr. Crusher welcomes on board her old friend and mentor from medical school, Dr. Quace. They beam him on to say hi to O'Brien and then have a talk about how everyone gets old and dies. Because he's a ball of sunshine, this guy.
Yes. And by the way, we've already had two important plot elements introduced so far, and it's just that first sentence here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty tight writing overall, actually.
Yeah, that's why I rather like this episode.
So in engineering, Geordi's mad that Wesley's taken over the warp core for some sort of random experiment or something, and he needs it back so that they can, move the ship.
Yeah. It's like we've been hanging out in space dock for a while, but we're supposed to be leaving now.
So Wesley just needs a minute or two to finish up. Crusher arrives to say hi, but she doesn't want to interrupt the experiment, and Wesley turns it on, and there's a big flash of bright light, and no one has any idea why, because that should be impossible. The warp core should not emit photons, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's probably bad if it does.
Yeah, because if it's emitting visible light, a device that is effectively reality warping that makes use of antimatter and which can generate a lot of radiation all across the spectrum has probably also dosed everyone with a high amount of gamma rays. So, go to the sick bay and, get your cancer removed now because it's going to be growing out of your face in a few hours.
Though I do kind of enjoy every time they do something with a warp field. It's like the thing that warps the very fabric of causality did something we didn't expect.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't say.
It's like, well, I guess that comes with the territory.
So, they're all distracted by the beam of light that shouldn't have happened. And Dr. Crusher left in the middle. I guess she was getting bored with watching the experiment or something.
Well, it's probably pretty standard for Wesley's experience. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm kind of a super warp specialist nerd person, and my mom really doesn't give a crap about any of that.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I always thought this was just such a thing. I understand they have to try to make him a genius, but also it's like a genius who has an innate understanding of the thing that is so reality warping that it's probably physically impossible to create. And he's just like, I innately understand how to bend space-time. Like, okay, fine.
Good. Go, kid. Have fun.
So later on, Crusher goes to check on Quince to see if he's settling in okay, and he's not at home. He's not on the ship. None of his stuff is here.
Is there a missing shuttle, perhaps?
Nope.
Is there a missing, plot thread? Did the writers forget to bring him back for the rest of the episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
They just like, I don't know. I think we had a guy here. We didn't bother to buy luggage for the set dressing, so. She asks Worf to help and find him, and he's confused because as head of security, he should be told about any guests that are on board, and he has never heard of this guy.
You have not heard of the famous Dr. Quace? How dare you, Worf? You're not going to make it in medical school at all.
So apparently Crusher just didn't follow protocol when having guests on board the ship.
Well, shame on you, Doctor.
So later on, Worf has security searching the entire ship. Data can't find any trace of anything in the scanners. Picard has no idea who this guy is or that he was going to be on board. And Crusher swears she put in the request for him to be on board weeks before.
So it should be in the system. Can we check the emails, maybe?
No, everyone has to carry around little data pad things.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. And I guess they just have a huge stockpile of them somewhere.
Yeah, just stacked up someplace.
Yeah. Guess we have to search through all of them now. Great.
So they link with the computer on the starbase that Quint's worked on, and there is no record of him having ever been there at all. Nor is there a record of anyone with that name ever being a doctor in Starfleet. Which I guess is why they gave him such an odd last name, so that they could pull that one off.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, so it's not a Dr. Smith or Dr. What would be an Andorian name here that fits?
I don't know.
Sherbert, there we go.
Dr. Queen.
It's the most common name in the Tellarite language.
Yeah. So Crusher then remembers that O'Brien saw Quince when he beamed on board, and they had a brief conversation and said hi. Except no, O'Brien remembers her coming into the transporter room, looking around a little bit, and leaving for no particular reason.
That's kind of weird. O'Brien, have you gotten your brain attached to some sort of interdimensional terror beast again?
Again, that probably doesn't happen until Deep Space Nine.
Also, is this the first time that we have an episode where O'Brien suffers?
Probably. I mean, depends on how you define suffering.
Well, what happens next?
Yeah, but did he suffer?
Yeah, let's find out.
So she takes O'Brien to sickbay to make sure his mind hasn't been messed with or whatever. Calls for assistance from Dr. Hill, who's not there, nor has ever existed. Nor has Dr. Solar ever existed. Nor is half of the members of the medical staff.
Yeah, so we have seen Dr. Solar previously, but, she's not been on the show since that one episode where Data got his brain replaced.
Yeah, so as far as we know, she's not on board.
And poor O'Brien has to endure a full-body, quote, scan by Crusher, who is really determined to find these missing people now. So good luck, O'Brien.
So all of the medical staff has never been on board. There's no record of them. Several members of the crew have also disappeared from Crusher's perspective, and it's getting a little harder to explain.
Everyone's sort of like, all right, so assuming this is true, this is a rather important thing that's happening here. We might have our doubts, but we're going to go through a procedure because you clearly want, to do right by the crew. If people are vanishing and we're just not remembering it, that's a problem.
It is a very interesting turn that this episode keeps taking. If that no one particularly goes, this must be your problem. Like there is kind of a thing later of like, I considered that and I scanned myself and I'm not finding any abnormalities with me either. But most of the time everyone's just like, well, we trust you and you're in a high enough position that you've earned our trust, so we're going to take what you're saying as true, even though it seems very unlikely.
Yeah, she is a rank commander after all.
So Wesley's been looking into his own things because he thinks that his warp bubble experiment maybe created a disturbance that could have trapped someone outside of their normal space-time, which might be bad.
Because, if you're just sort of plucked outside of your space-time, that doesn't mean that there's things like air there,
Yeah, you don't know what would be in there.
Could just be a whole dimension of pain or something. I don't know.
But the warp experiment was confined to inside of the warp core, so it's unlikely that anyone entering would have been affected. Never mind as many people as Crusher says have disappeared because they were nowhere near the warp bubble.
This could be, wait a moment, maybe Star Trek doesn't have continuity with Star Wars, but instead Ghostbusters. And the warp core is acting like a containment unit, and it's just taking in, living people as opposed to ghosts.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
They also realized that the warp bubble wouldn't have been able to erase computer records of people. So it'd be weird for that to be gone too.
Yeah, it's like their whole continuity is being destroyed. Wait a moment, is that what happens to Voyager?
Maybe, probably.
Yeah, why the ship gets torn up one week, it's fine the next.
Yeah. Feels like this was, I can't remember precisely. It feels like this was some kind of Doctor Who enemy that like erases you from having ever existed.
A little bit. There was, I guess, a few continuity sort of snarl problem entities and beings and things like that. Like the spider thing that not the other spiders, but the one spider where Donna got it on her back, or maybe it was a bug, I forget, and it had her make a different decision.
Yeah,
and that changed all of the
her
continuity.
potentiality.
Yeah. And then you got the weeping angels who
Yeah, but they just send
your...
you back in time. They don't erase you from having ever existed in the first place.
Yeah, it is kind of messed up still. What else? Trying to think back to the classic era if there's something that jumps out at me. I guess there was the time monster, but that one didn't make a lot of sense to begin with, so I'm not really going to think about it too much. Yeah, maybe the Master tried something. Oh, there was the one time there, entropy started eating the entire universe.
That's true. It could be any. It just feels very Doctor Who adjacent. Maybe they didn't actually do it.
So Doctor Who, there you go. Have an episode.
Whether or not we're getting another season. Then.
Apparently, there's going to be a holiday episode next year, probably.
Okay.
Who knows what that's going to look like?
Yeah, they don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, it was just a terrible idea to team up with Disney, guys. Come on. Anyway.
So Crusher returns to sickbay to find it completely empty, which is completely normal and proper because she never had a staff.
Well, yeah, so the nurses and the people we've seen often enough in sickbay, and, they've just never existed. And you, watcher, you should not remember them either.
She thinks that it's a little weird to have one doctor for a ship with 1,000 people on board, but there's really good news because there's only 200 people on board.
Oh, so this is much worse than we thought.
So Picard thinks that it's time to have a bit of a talk at this point because he and the rest of the very, very small crew have found no evidence that anything has ever gone wrong. Crusher's insistent that she's fine. She gave herself a checkup, found no reason to think that she has any different memories to anyone else. And she asks that they go back to the starbase for a full diagnostic, and Picard agrees because he's never had any reason to not trust her before now.
There's also maybe an unsaid thing that Picard's told various people that's like, go check this out, and if those people no longer exist and have never existed, then he's not.
No one's
actually
ever looked into
this.
Yes,
it's like, yeah, you've just been talking about people vanishing for the last couple of days, and for some reason we've not done anything about that, huh?
Crusher returns to sickbay, and now there's a vortex of like lightning and wind and stuff, and she almost gets sucked into it.
Does anyone hear someone calling out Carol Ann?
Of course, after the fact, no one can find any evidence that this vortex ever existed on the scanners.
2 has been disappeared.
And they still can't find anything wrong, even though now there's 100 people on board, like there should be.
Yeah, so at some point the ship's going to need like basic maintenance. Who does that now?
Nobody. It's fine.
Okay.
Nobody thinks it's weird because, the ship needs this much room with only 100 people on board because they transport colonists and do evacuations and shit.
Yeah, constantly, forever. That's why we need a whole fleet of these sort of ships. Thousands of empty rooms on them.
And nobody remembers Worf now.
Poor
Worf.
Worf.
It's kind of interesting because it is just a minor extension of the stuff they already do. They have less than 1/10 of the number of people that could fit on this ship precisely for these reasons most of the time.
But now Worf's gone. Who's going to go scowl at people?
Yeah. Well, now Troy's here. She's still here. She could be scowly.
All right. So, Troy, you're now in charge of scowling.
Yeah. She and Crusher have a chat about how Crusher probably isn't crazy, and even if she is, it's fine because she's still trying to act in the best interest of everyone. It's kind of interesting.
Even if something is wrong, like on the mental stage here for you, you're still trying to do the right thing. And, well, that's all we can really hope for, ask for at this point. So, good job.
They get really close to passing the Bactyl test, and then Crusher remembers that Wesley might be in trouble and runs off to engineering.
Maybe next time.
Wesley's fine, but now you're here. Let me remind you that the Traveler, that guy from Tau Alpha C, exists. And he shot us out of the known universe. Remember when we went to the place that dreams are real? You might not remember.
So, we're not going to go too many details about that trip. But we are going to remind you that he exists and might be relevant to the situation. Yeah. So, Mom, Wesley's here is telling you all about this guy. So, let's establish some continuities because the continuity otherwise is falling apart in this episode. It's the only way to save things.
Yeah. I just love that, as weird as that episode was, it's like we got shot completely outside of the known physical universe. Maybe you don't remember. Remember that? I don't know.
Though I do, I guess, give it kind of points that's like, yeah, we were kind of doing a tech plot episode. Mom, do you remember that one dude that was sort of there and you kind of scanned him that one time? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I kind of remember him. Yeah, he was kind of weird. I wasn't relevant for that episode, so,
Yeah, I may as well have not existed for that episode, so it's fine. Now that Wesley's given the proper exposition, he promptly disappears too.
Yeah, like Crusher, turns away, starts down the hall, and then Wesley's not there anymore.
So she re-enters the bridge where Picard is sitting alone because he doesn't remember anyone. Crusher gives a quick rundown of the bridge crew, their notable personality traits. He doesn't think that it's weird that two people run around on a giant spaceship because they've always done it and it's worked out so far.
Yeah. Well, that's a little strange. Well, if continuity is going to save this, maybe we should bring up some previous episodes where, it was essential that we have more than just two people on board. Or maybe not.
It does have kind of a nice, introspective line here. I like the way that they handle this, because nobody's getting weird about it. Just if what you're saying is true, and I've forgotten everyone who was ever important to me, then you probably, have every right to be mad at me.
Yeah. So, if this is true, this is a very reasonable reaction here. So, let's roll forward, see what's going on.
So Crusher decides that she's going to put a live monitor of Picard's life signs on the speakers so that she can see if there's any change in his body before, he disappears if he does. So the computer gives live feedback of his vitals until it just, stops.
Yeah, it's it's just no more sounds. Well then, guess it's just Crusher here on the ship. Now it's time for Crusher Adventures Star Trek, the Crusher Generation.
Crusher's all alone, which is going to save them a lot of cast money going forward. Another vortex appears in the bridge, and she only escapes by clinging to a chair until it goes away.
Yeah, it's like even lifting her off the ground here, so,
Then we go to Wesley and Geordi in engineering, because they just lost the connection to the warp bubble that the experiment created, and now there's no way to get Crusher back to reality.
Wait a moment. Are you saying that she's not been in reality this whole time?
Yep, just in her own little bubble.
Dang it.
They're saying social media puts you in your own little bubble. Well, this one's
a little bit more intense.
This predates social media by 20 years. Except the Traveler appears.
Oh, it's that guy we mentioned. Hey, it's good you showed up.
Yeah, Wes is like, shit, we've lost the connection. There's nothing we can do. And then the Traveler pops out from around a corner and says, or is there?
Now let's have some exposition.
Except he's not that dramatic. Don't worry, Wesley. All is not lost.
I'm going to speak to you in a calm, kind of creepy voice.
We're all calm hippies here, and together we will combine our flower power to save your mother.
Yes. Join me, Wesley, and we'll experience the warp bubble together.
So the Traveler explains that Wesley's experiment actually created a pocket reality, and that Crusher's state of mind when she was sucked into the reality is what formed it, because as we established in his first episode, thought and space are not different things, and people need to realize that, because this is just hippie shit. So, I'm not always against this kind of thing, but it's weird to just, with no explanation, put a bunch of, hippie thought and time and space are the same thing in the middle of a Star Trek episode, but whatever.
Yeah, if you want to, maybe, I don't know, go somewhere with that, maybe establish some, fringe case rules for, just this entire universe that you're going to run into on occasion. Okay, but do something with it, please, instead of just have it be these two.
This is the most they do with it, which is just a mildly interesting explanation of why her minor anxieties created a horror scenario.
Yes. Well, the Star Trek universe is kind of frightening when I think about it. You just get some minor anxiety and suddenly you're in a hell dimension.
Yep, happens all the time.
Yeah. It's like the Event Horizon, but, more accidental.
So the Traveler thinks that he can help Wesley create a bridge to get her out, but like they've been doing, but that will work this time.
We gotta refine our warp bubble by getting to the right place and synchronize all the doohickeys and other stuff,
Yeah, they need to get back to the starbase where everything went bad, because I guess that's where the reality bubble is the strongest or something.
The strongest connection, man.
They can never decide how warp bubbles work. Because before he's like, the warp bubble was completely completely confined to inside the warp core. It's like, why? The warp core does the explosions. The other parts do the warp bubble.
Yes. I guess if you have some warp plasma and there's maybe a small ring-like, a coil device in there that can create a localized warp field just inside the warp core for some reason, it might work, but that seems like it's not a very well put together device in that case, because it's just sort of a redundant place to do a warp bubble for no reason.
But also now they've been carrying this pocket reality around with them because they've been able to create these minor bridge things that aren't working. But they have to go back to where it was, because I guess it's actually over there.
Yeah. It's maybe a right angle sort of situation, but it's more of a right angle over here.
I don't hate it. Just every time the Traveler shows up, all science fiction goes out the window.
Yep.
Which is fine in certain contexts. They do that a lot in like Babylon 5, but the Star Trek usually doesn't.
Keep with your genre, please. I don't know.
So Crusher, now completely alone, decides that she's going to do the thing that she's good at, which is one of the good things about this episode. She's like, I have to solve a mystery. I'm a doctor. Let's start diagnosing some shit.
Let's use our evidence and put it together. Good.
So, she's talking through stuff with the computer. She's the only crew member on board. According to the computer, she's always been the only crew member on board. She goes, so do I have the necessary skills to carry out the mission of this ship alone? And the computer goes, nope.
That's what I thought.
Like, why am I alone then? I don't know.
Can you, look up something in your database to maybe link it together, maybe?
No, computer knows nothing when it's convenient. Otherwise, the computer knows everything. Computer's very, very plot sensitive.
Yes.
So she sets course to Tau Alpha C to try to find the Traveler, but the ship doesn't go anywhere because Tau Alpha C does not exactly exist.
Huh. Wait, entire planets are vanishing now.
Yeah, either that or the random Traveler dude lied about where he's from because, he's a weird reality hopping something or other.
Well, I guess this might explain all these parking tickets and why no one's picking them up.
So now, in the outside world, I guess, the Traveler and Wesley are getting ready to create a bridge, and they're doing it mostly by meditating on a computer console.
Because that's how it works, I guess.
Like, which one is it? Like, if it's technological and you need to do stuff to the engines, then you need to be doing math and sci-fi shit. If it's purely spiritual, you can sit around and hum next to the warp core or whatever. Just like laying hands on the fucking computer.
Maybe it's like you have a focus. It doesn't actually acquire it in terms of the raw magical ability, but it helps your mind link up to the magic by having this focus here.
Maybe. It makes it look like they're just doing fucking technomancy over here.
Yes. And, Babylon 5 did technomancy better.
So Crusher discovers that there's no Tau Alpha C. There's no starbase. There's not much outside.
Yeah, just sort of a glowing beige, purplish.
Yeah. She goes, okay, computer, here's something you shouldn't be able to answer. Describe the universe. Now, the universe is a 700-foot diameter sphere.
Oh, that's not right. This is a problem. Computer, is this an appropriate time to start screaming my head off and flailing?
Yes, probably.
Yes.
So back on the real Enterprise, they get to the starbase. They're preparing to get the warp bubble up thing, but the warp bubble universe is collapsing, so they're on a little bit of a time crunch now. Maybe the Traveler could have showed up, an hour ago.
Yeah. And helped out, besides, being last minute, I'm going to save the day guy.
So the warp bubble is collapsing, and Crusher notices this because the ship keeps on venting air into space, even though I guess it's not space because the ship keeps hitting up against the edge of the universe. So that creates a weird... Where is the air going exactly?
Nowhere,
outside of the universe. So she keeps looking at the bubble shrinking, and it's like, why did we lose hull integrity? And the computer goes, a design flaw, that the ship does not exist past bulkhead 3.
Yeah, I'd say that's a design flaw, assuming it was designed, incompetently. Computer, come on, tune into Sanity FM, please.
Also on the overlay, she overlays where the universe is to where the ship is, and it cuts through where she is on the thing. So
yeah, so it's like, yeah, you should actually be dead now.
We can maintain life support for about 4 minutes, which is interesting considering the bridge is gone now. So we get started on creating the warp bubble thing on the other ship. Crusher very miraculously works out what's going on. I'm not saying that she's not smart enough for this, but she makes a few really massive logic leaps to get here.
Yeah.
So she figures out that the Traveler could control warp bubbles with his mind, and she was thinking about how Quest said everyone is disappearing. So probably she entered a warp bubble that she's controlling with her mind and made everyone disappear.
So maybe if you think about bringing everyone back, that might help?
Yeah, somehow this does not occur to anyone.
No, maybe it's its inception is only lined up with her thoughts at that particular moment when it was created, but everything since then, it doesn't care anymore. Jerk face warp bubble.
So she asks the computer a hypothetical that if someone was trapped in a warp bubble reality where everything was slowly disappearing because they were stressed out at the time it was created and they needed to get out, how would it work? And the computer weirdly knows this.
It does resist at first, but she's like, come on, extrapolate from what your database here or something like that.
It goes, so somebody on the outside could create a bridge to the real world out of the bubble reality, and it would probably look like a big blue vortex tornado thing.
More Poltergeist references go here. Come on, Doctor, figure it out.
So Crusher works out that if you were trying to do this, you would do it at engineering because that's where the warp core is. And where technically anything happens on this ship.
Yep.
She goes right as Wesley and the Traveler concentrate really hard and start phasing out of reality in the very stupid bar effect that they keep using for that.
My horizontal is disintegrating slightly. Oh, no.
They create the vortex again. This time Crusher doesn't resist it and jumps on through. And she's back with everyone in engineering. And there are now 1,014 people on board, just like there should be.
Hooray! Wait a moment. Why does Picard know that?
Picard should know everybody who's on the ship.
Okay. Well, the exact number. Yeah.
He's in charge. He keeps getting duty rosters and whatever.
He also mentions Dr. Quace, so I guess Dr. Quace is back, so hooray.
Yes. Everybody's back. Everything's right and proper. Good job. Traveler disappeared conveniently again. Yeah.
So long, weirdo.
He sticks around just long enough to clean up the plot and then goes away.
My work here is done, but you didn't do anything, did I?
This is the one thing. I really like this episode overall. And I think Gates McFadden doesn't get enough to do on this show. They did a really good job giving her actual, intelligent things to think through in the way that would make sense for a doctor to be like, okay, I'm going to diagnose this problem like it's a disease. Let's go. And then she figures it out. But her figuring it out actually does almost nothing. This random magic dude had to just show up and fix everything.
Yeah. I kind of wish that they had restructured the episode so that she does 100% figure out, it's like, oh, I should go to engineering, and all of that without showing anything that's happened on the outside world. And then she jumps through, and sure, the Traveler's there, and, he then explains that he had to help Wesley figure out the how to solve thing. But at the end, it was all her son who saved the day here, and he's more of just an assistant here, and maybe even toss in a couple other references to other people they talk to.
That could be interesting too. I was thinking like they could give her anything to actually do. She figures it out, and the only thing that she figures out is that she shouldn't have been resisting jumping through the vortex things.
Yeah.
Give her a thing, like have her go to engineering and go, I saw Wesley do this with the warp bubble once, and then make it wiggle in Morse code or something.
Yeah.
So that she can communicate with the outside world a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, so in the end, I do like this episode, but there's some things that could have made it, go from pretty good to fantastic here.
Yeah, it's great, except that they obviously had no idea how they were going to resolve it.
Yes. Which, I heard somewhere that there was thoughts that this would have been a "It's All the Dream" episode, on the first pass there, and they're like, that's kind of stupid. Let's not do that.
That's good. I've stopped watching entire shows for doing that.
Yeah.
That's why I stopped watching Dollhouse. I mean, it wasn't that good of a show to begin with, but then they had an "It's All a Dream" episode, and I was like, okay, I'm out.
All right, you're being just so ridiculously lazy with your writing here. This is not kind of pointless here. But yeah, so remember me?
No, who are you?
I'm your co-host.
I've always hosted this show alone.
Oh no! But you need a medical staff, don't you? And a whole pile of editors, right?
Yes, we definitely have editors that we hire to do things.
And a dozen people to manage our social media footprint.
Yeah, see, this is why we don't have good social media or editing.
We're trapped in a warp bubble.
Because they all disappeared in a warp bubble.
Oh, man. I guess we're going to have to carry on our, just the two of us then. Gepwin, can I have the computer scan you continuously?
Can it do that?
Maybe. I don't know.
I know that they want, if I had that Facebook Oculus thing, it would do that, but I don't think that just the computer does that.
Well, maybe we need better computers.
So I think that the episode is very interesting in the way that it creates a kind of horror scenario because everyone is being very affable and agreeing with you. Mm-hmm. Everyone's just something is very obviously wrong. You're the only one that can see it. But a lot of things create a horror scenario of that in the you're going crazy and our medical system for mental health is terrible, which we get into in some later episodes with Riker.
Mm-hmm.
But this episode, everyone is nice. Everyone is treating the situation with due care. Everyone is taking everything that you're saying seriously, but you still can't do anything about the issue. And I think that's a scarier premise than actually everyone's trying to control you and you're the only one who knows the truth.
Because, it's like, oh, there is something wrong. I know there is something wrong, but everyone's just kind of, this is your day-to-day here. How can we...
it's fine. And it doesn't matter that none of it makes sense. You can't convince anyone with logic that it doesn't make sense because it's always been this way.
Their memories and that person's memories and all this, they are saying that this is the reality as it has always been. But you're like, no, this is not how things are. There is something fundamentally out of whack here. So how can we bring these two things together to make anything make sense?
I think I even just love, I think my favorite line that underscores the whole thing, she comes in, sees Picard there, goes, well, how could two people run this entire ship? Because we've never needed a crew before.
Yeah, it totally makes sense for him. But, it doesn't make sense to anyone else, including the audience. So, it's definitely, Picard's very much in the wrong here because the follow through for anyone paying any attention is that is absurd.
I think it's just a really unique take on the thing because everything can be terrible and everything can be going bad in a very fundamentally horrifying way and everyone can be nice about it. No one's trying to gaslight her. They're all saying exactly what they think is going on from their perspective. They're very respectful of her opinions. They check into everything she says. They go well outside of, reasonable in investigating this thing that's clearly not actually happening from everything they can tell. But, that doesn't do anything to fix the problem. Nothing helps. She doesn't have a way to deal with it until she's on her own and can actually, sit down and force herself to think through the thing and not think anyone else is going to be useful.
Yeah, because it's sort of, you sort of hits a realization that, there is, it was people around that could help her out, but they are not going to be, useful resources, because they are, the only thing that they're able to provide is more, signs that there is this particular problem, and she's already got that data. So we need to attack this from a whole different approach here.
I do think Dr. Quince was just being a downer.
Dr. Quace, why do you have to be, so depressing there? I know you lost someone, and you're getting old, and all your friends are dying. But come on, if you hadn't left, Crusher in a sort of a dark mood, maybe she would have ended up on a ship where, the reality is expanding, and there are, everything's becoming better, and the universe is not collapsing but expanding, as everyone is it's like everything's just great and peachy, and so the universe is becoming more enriched, more awesome. And then she realizes, it's getting a little too awesome here. What's going on, guys?
There's so many little things. This is something that I constantly talk about with Star Trek and this kind of show premise or sci-fi premise. I think people get bored of me with it, but I think it's an interesting thing to look at when it really underscores how impossible it is for anyone to really realistically try to write an actual different future where things are going well. Because they keep having these little references, and you wouldn't think they were anything to think about on their own, but if you actually consider them in the context of the episode, it says too many things about the way that this world functions. Because you have this old guy is I'm all old and lonely, and everyone I know is dying around me, and it's so sad. It's okay, I can see how somebody feels that way. I've heard people express that now. It kind of indicates that we're still leaving old people all lonely and in bad situations, even in our utopian future.
We need to get you some friends here. And, well, maybe that's the whole point of him going back to the planet he considers his homeworld.
It's still maybe, just, one of the main problems is, people that you've known for a really long time start dying when you get to a certain age, and it's sad and depressing. But we segregate people by age so much in our current society that you just, lose out more and more and more. In a better future society, you could imagine a situation where maybe people have a wider range of friend groups, and so not everyone is dead.
Yes. It's you maybe don't necessarily get what the kids are into these days, but you are existing in a space where you can interact with them and get to know them, and they can get to know you, and you can become friends despite a vast difference in backgrounds. Because maybe if we're able to figure out how to interact with aliens, we should be able to interact with people in our own species that just have a different perspective on their life, what they've experienced here. These skill sets should be transferable from one to the other.
So I think this is I think this comparatively is a minor one. There's some other things that have bothered me more through various Star Treks, but we keep on, every time you use one of these shorthand things to set up a plot, it's why hasn't society progressed as much as you keep saying it has?
Maybe if you still want to have society be progressed and this particular character to have this particular situation, have Crusher bring up, why have you let yourself get so isolated? There are our society is supposed to be built to protect that? Is there something going on? And so, he maybe mentions like, well, there's, maybe something specific happened. Maybe, his wife was the one that was kind of heading up a lot of that, keeping in tune with the community sort of stuff. And it was great, but, without her sort of being there, it's not the same. And so I could, sit around here and slowly lose touch with, the people that are around me, or I can kind of start over on, going back to my home planet there. And, I don't have, quite the ghost of a loved one sort of lingering, here in my forefront of my mind, and gives me an opportunity to sort of get back with it maybe. But, that would change how the episode's structured. A little too much.
Yeah, it's not even a problem. And I don't think it's that big of an issue. I just always think it's interesting in these. And then, of course, it sets up these things of like, well, now she has so much anxiety over it that it creates an entire universe.
I suppose if you're going to create an entire universe and it's going to be based around something that's kind of not ideal, there are worse ways to go about it. Like, what if she was thinking, it's like, oh man, everyone just kind of hates me today. and then she gets into the warp bubble world, and then everyone just starts being mean to her for no reason.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, like why is there so much cruelty? And it's like, well, you're just a jerk face, doctor. You scanned O'Brien 12 times here, and well, I didn't even do that. I didn't even get to that. Well, he's complaining about it anyway. Let's put you in the brig for being mean to O'Brien here.
I feel like it's kind of interesting when these episodes are like just good and pretty self-contained, because then you kind of wind up without as much stuff to talk about.
I guess we could always try to jump a little bit further outside of the core of the episode, and maybe something about like that face blindness stuff. Where like maybe the whole problem is that everyone's starting to acquire prosopagnosia.
Yeah, everybody's.
It's my turn to be. Yeah,
everybody's still there. They just don't remember anybody because they don't recognize them.
Yeah, wouldn't that be weird?
Sure. The whole thing is actually just everyone suddenly developing face blindness.
You're asking about this Klingon person, but there's never been a Klingon on this ship.
He's standing right behind you.
So yeah, maybe that's if we ever become Star Trek writers, we should write that episode. How about that?
Yeah, there we go. It's kind of like the Deep Space Nine one, where everybody gets the talking disease, but for face blindness.
Yes, makes it difficult to interact with people and that sort of thing here, and it's effectively making people vanish from your life.
Yeah, nobody knows, nobody remembers you, and it's fine. Except everybody suddenly starts recognizing voices more.
Who is that speaking? It's me, Captain. Who are you? I'm your commander. Commander who?
Everyone has to suddenly wear different outfits, because the problem is that everyone's in uniform, so...
Mm-hmm. Everything's a little too samey. Some people's like, well, we've run out of colors. Hairdos, there we go. I'm going to wear a bell. You here, you could have the clown shoes.
Yeah, you just need to start making everything a little bit more visually distinct.
Yes.
You can tell because despite everybody disappearing, they still recognize Troy, because she's still wearing a dress now. She's the most visually distinct.
Yes, and especially that one dress that's kind of not symmetric, or it's kind of like the cleavage is kind of to the side there, and it's just it just draws your eye there in a very awkward way. I'm not meaning to look at your chest.
Yes, that's why it draws your eye there. Yeah, because of the asymmetry.
And then everyone's like, "Yeah, I totally remember Troy. Have you looked at her face recently?" Maybe. Yeah. So, there's, things in this world, like the prosopagnosia, though, that it is difficult to really convey to other people, which I think is, what got me thinking about this, in terms of what's actually going wrong. Because to everyone else, it's like, well, what do you mean you don't recognize my face? We're best friends. We've been hanging out, for years on years. you recognize me through other things apparently, but if I were to wear a completely different outfit and not, speak up, you would not know I was this, person who's been in your life for ages here. And for understand it's something people kind of have to work around. But to even sort of attempt to describe what's wrong is kind of almost impossible because, if you've never had, if you've had it your whole life, then it's like, well, I just don't recognize this thing that I can't really even recognize. So how do you tell someone about this?
Well, it's just the broader thing. We're so bad at talking about or letting people describe any kind of disability. So we don't really want to take the time to understand people's disabilities.
So maybe we should be more kind. We should be like the Warp Mobile Enterprise people until they vanish, of being nice to Crusher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our message today. Be nice to people, even if you don't know what's wrong, and they're stressing out.
Yeah. If somebody doesn't have a reason to lie to you, maybe don't treat them like they are.
Yeah. There are plenty of people out in the world that have reasons to lie to people, but don't assume that they're everybody.
Because that's the whole thing with this. It's not completely disbelieving. It's also not just like, oh, of course, we'll just completely go in on that. Obviously, it's not. We completely believe you and we'll feed into this if it is a delusion. We're just like, well, you don't have any reason to lie. You recognize that it seems unlikely, so I guess we'll just figure it out from here.
Yeah, you're not, you're acting like this is some sort of weird scam that you're trying to pull off here. So we'll go through it, the process here, and yeah. We'll keep an eye out and try to figure this out together. Sometimes it's better if we work together, everybody.
Yeah, we have such an upbeat episode because everyone was nice, even though the episode was a little horrifying. But
embrace the kindness while we still can. Oddly enough, this episode has reminded me of a REM song.
Which one?
Radio song.
Oh, that's one of the ones I actually don't think I ever heard.
The world is collapsing. Around our ears, I turn up the radio, but I can't hear it.
Yeah.
Stuff's going down, but, there's trying to hear some stuff.
All right.
I could tell that you've been crying. It's the same sing-song on the radio. Makes me sad. So, yeah, remember me. It's a good episode. Check it out if you haven't yet. Any parting thoughts?
All right, we already had the be nice to each other thing. So.
Well, we can always have other ones. We could mention the footage of Starbase, was used in this one, was also used in a previous episode. And I think some, the same model from Star Trek 3.
Yeah, there's still a lot of that. I mean, that's why this episode was so cheap, right? One actor and a bunch of reused footage.
Yeah, so we're good to go. Apparently, it was the footage of Starbase 74 from 11001001.
No, yeah. But it's not Starbase 74, it's Starbase 113.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Probably why none of the Starbases actually have numbers on them.
There is plenty of Starbases. We can number them as high as we like, because numbers go up pretty high.
Yeah, that is a lot of Starbases, considering how big these frickin' things are.
They're like, cities in space. They're pretty big. Now I'm thinking, what if you had a Star Trek Starbase sucked into the Gundam universe, the Universal Century, and their space colonies, and they're like, wow, this is completely different technology here and stuff. And then you got Star Trek versus Gundam stuff going on. So anyway, that's all I got.
I haven't seen enough Gundam for that one.
Now there is, I guess, at least last count, at least 3 general timelines that are effectively different universes. There's like the really kind of silly one where I think the tournament one happens in, and then there's Gundam Wing, which was like the first one on like Toonami back in the day, and then you got the Universal Century one, which is where all like the hardcore War Sucks sort of series comes in, that has lots of Minkowski particles. All right.
Well,
Now you know everything you need. Now you have everything you need to, start your own Gundam, run through Gepwin.
Yeah, there we go. The only thing I know about Gundam is I got one model kit when I was younger, and apparently it's one that's not very popular because they don't seem to make very many of it.
Was it a Zaku?
No, it was a Death Scythe.
Ah, that one's awesome. People, come on. That one's from Gundam Wing, by the way.
Okay, good.
Yes.
That makes sense why it was around in the early 2000s when I was at the hobby store.
Yes.
But now if we're talking about anime, it's probably time for the Galaxy's favorite game show!
Woohoo! Hey everybody, welcome to the Galaxy's favorite game show. We got ourselves, I guess only one contestant at the end of the day, but there's various people who have got some points along the way. This is a little concerning, but we're going to hand out prizes all the same. So our first one is the There's Your Warp Bubble prize, which goes to Wesley for making and kicking off and then solving the plot along with the help of the Traveler. So, good for him. What does Wesley win, Gepwin?
Wesley wins a damn computer model. They need to give him something to do computer models on so that he can stop blowing up the ship with these experiments every other week.
Yeah, so Wesley, get yourself a supercomputer or two, and the Enterprise has the main computer core there, and they have room for a second one. That could be yours.
Given how many times they just recreate whatever in the holodeck,
yeah, do it there.
Yeah, feels like you could just maybe just be fine and make a little model warp core in the holodeck and look at it.
Yep. Our second prize today is the Oblivious Coworker prize, which goes to everyone on the fake Enterprise except for Crusher, because we've there's only 40 people on the ship. That's always been the case, right? It's only been 20 people, Gepwin, right? It's only been 10, right? What do they win, Gepwin?
They win a buffet, which keeps getting better and better the further you go on. Because at first it's not enough for the whole crew. It seems a little stingy. And then it's just way too much. How did they get this much food here?
It's wow, this seems like it could feed almost 1,000 people, but it's all for just us two, Gepwin. This is awesome. Our third prize is the Appropriate Reaction prize, which goes for Crusher for rightly freaking out over everyone she's ever known vanishing, and including her own son, people she's known for years, all the people she's gone on adventures with. Man, this has gotten kind of depressing, Gepwin. We're supposed to be doing the uplifting part of the episode here, Gepwin. Save us. What's the prize?
She wins a better attitude so she can get sucked into the next warp bubble thinking about how many sexy ghosts she wants to have sex with.
That would explain Sub Rosa, wouldn't it?
Yep. It's the only thing that would explain Sub Rosa.
So there we go. We got some prizes, and I think there's some sort of spatial flexure coming on here, and there's a lady telling me to go into the light here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, Gepwin, so feel free to take us away.
I don't know, spatial flexures always sound bad in a non-specific kind of way. Well, yes, thank you everyone for joining us here on the Galaxy's favorite game show! Woo!
Would you like to go to a magical world where everyone's trying to murder each other?
Yeah, it's called the Purge World.
Yes. And, I've also heard it described as, the worst planet in the galaxy, Mad Max planet, the murder tropolis, and also, the kind of confusing it even exists planet. Because,
this is another one of those, why did you decide to put this in your Star Trek universe? It really asks so many weird questions.
So yeah, I guess, there's occasionally, colonies that get set up and they're like, yeah, we don't actually want to be part of the Federation for whatever reason. And then it turns out terribly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe people should stop doing that, just generally.
Every time this, I don't know. I don't think we really want to be part of the Federation. Instead, I think we want to have no laws. Seems a lot better.
Yeah, we're gonna embrace full guns and ammo anarchy here, as opposed to any kind of cool let's just hang out and cooperate anarchy.
So yeah, next is Legacy, not to be confused with Star Trek Legacy, which I think was something.
This is a different sort of legacy.
This is Legacy Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Where you remember not me, but Tasha Yar?
Yeah, this is the one where Tasha Yar's sister takes everyone to the Escape from New York planet.
Yeah, that's another good one, yeah. It's like Escape from New York plus Escape from LA, all on the same planet, man.
Yeah, this is such a 90s. This is such a 90s of the gang wars. The gang wars will get us all. Gangs are scary, right? Be scared of gangs.
So, must fear and must fight them and, be careful, otherwise you're going to get murdered.
Yeah, this totally isn't an excuse for us to just continue on our failed drug war. The gangs.
Yeah, they're just bad because... Yeah.
Yeah. People left to their own devices will devolve into evil, lawless tribes that will try to murder each other at the slightest provocation, which is why you have to give into authoritarianism.
So, that sucks. Yeah, we're going to go to this zany planet and, talk about how much it sucks and also how its messaging kind of sucks.
Yeah, so here's a nice preview. You got a break this week because this episode was kind of nice and didn't have that many things to gripe about. And next time we get to talk about how the 90s, just not even anything in the 90s, just the 90s generally pushed racism and authoritarianism.
Great.
It's going to be fun how we can get to talk about how racist an episode that involves mostly white people is.
Well, we did have the one planet of Aryan Wonder Kids there.
Yeah, that one wasn't great.
Yeah.
But this one's racist with white people in a different way.
So check it out. Next time on Watchers of Tomorrow, Yar's Revenge! You have been listening to Watchers of Tomorrow, a podcast on science fiction media. Find and listen to Watchers of Tomorrow on Podbean, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Digital Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Google Play, and many more places where podcasts can be found. If you enjoyed our podcast, make sure to subscribe for more. And make sure to rate your experience or leave us a review. You may find Gepwin on YouTube as Gepwin and on Pillowfort. You may find Dr. Isix, on YouTube and Blue Sky. Music is Waveform and Mori's Principle, both by DRKRN, and Quirky Dog by Kevin MacLeod. Check out the Watchers of Tomorrow Discord channel. You may also find Watchers of Tomorrow on Tumblr. Make sure to share the experience of Watchers of Tomorrow with your friends, loved ones, enemies, alien overlords, and your doppelganger from the mirror dimension. Have a good day, and ahead, warp factor heckin' fast.